Name is Josh. I am currently serving in the United States Air Force. When it comes to Ukraine specifically, I have been very passionately following this conflict since before February of 2022. It's of great interest to those of us who are in the military, to most of us. And then I think after the conflict really escalated last February, and I was able to see a lot of news about just how resilient the Ukrainian people are and how willing they were to resist, and the leadership that they've had so far under Zelensky. I think that was just really inspiring to me, and honestly to a lot of folks. So yeah, I've been following it ever since. In terms of volunteering, that's something that I've always tried to do, just as part of my normal schedule. Try to get out maybe once a month if I can make it, and just contribute to the local community. So I found ENGin through Volunteer Match. I was just scrolling along, looking at options, and unfortunately there wasn't really a lot that caught my interest here around Honolulu. There wasn't a lot that worked with my schedule very well, but as soon as I saw ENGin, and as soon as I saw that there was an opportunity to contribute to Ukraine, yeah, I jumped on that immediately. And it was also a big selling point that the hours and the schedule is so flexible. I didn't know what to expect, honestly. Yeah, I was a little bit nervous going in, which I think is normal when meeting any new person. Is there's a little bit of initial nervousness and awkwardness, and then add on top of that the language barrier and the cultural barrier. But that didn't last very long. In terms of demographics, me and my student are fairly similar. We're actually both in the military. We're both approximately the same rank. I believe he is the equivalent of an American captain. And that was definitely a big turning point in terms of the conversations being more relaxed and more natural, was when I found that thing that he had a passion for, which, yeah, for my student, like you said, is bartending. Some of the cocktails he makes, they're very impressive looking. He's definitely been at it for a while. And recently I suggested that it might be a fun activity for us to make mixed drinks during one of our sessions together. Obviously, speak for him in terms of how confident he's feeling when he goes into this. I'm sure it's very challenging not being a native English speaker, but speaking for myself, it's I've noticed a discernible difference in terms of when we first started. Like, I was very much preparing and working somewhat off of a script, versus we're comfortable now with just logging on without much of a plan and having more of an organic back and forth. The ENGin program is about opening up opportunities, both educational and economic, for Ukrainians in terms of connections to the West. And right now, I don't know how much we want to get into talking about the Russian side of things, but a major goal of the Russian invasion is to isolate and alienate Ukraine from the rest of the world. So I don't know, that's just such a great image to me, is the idea of the threads, connecting Ukraine to everyone else. What I'm doing right now, I don't know how large of an impact it's going to make in the grand scheme of things, but I hope that it's at least making a big difference for the student that I'm working with. There's a lot of controversy surrounding sending weapons and sending any kind of support. There's a lot of differing opinions. There's a lot of people asking, should we be doing this? Should we be having any involvement whatsoever with Ukraine? My bottom line is that it's the morally correct thing to do, for no reason other than the Ukrainian people don't want to be invaded by Russia. And that's the only reason that I need.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Amen. Happy birthday to you.
I was born and raised here in Hawaii. When we say, oh, how many are in your family? Like, oh, there's 6 of us. A lot of people are like, oh, wow. I'm the youngest of 6 siblings. I'm pretty stubborn too. There's 4 boys, my sister, and then me. When I hear from like some of our good family friends, they thought they were a bit nuts. It was pretty chaotic with my parents. That's part of why I want to go into counseling, is because I want to be able to offer that help to others when they're struggling. And I would say that's one thing that I'm hoping to fulfill. When I was in high school, we had the career shadowing as a junior. The last person that I shadowed was somebody that taught at Aloha Elementary, first grade. The energy that they had and just that it can still be fun learning even if they hate math. I think I was just looking like, oh, like life as a teacher, like that could be pretty cool. Basically before the end of this year, because their next deadline for applying for fall would be January.
No, those are more interesting.
They're random. I was looking into service opportunities, and so I thought this is a great opportunity for them to learn English, but also sometimes it's like their getaway, I guess, from like, you know, what's happening in their own lives. I can offer at least an hour of my time to help other people. I was trying to prepare in the beginning, and then she had told me, I think after like the second one or so, saying like, just so you know, like you don't have to like prepare anything fancy, like we can just chat. And she's like, and if I have questions, then like I'll ask. And I was like, okay, that works out really nicely with me, like with my schedule and everything.
Okay, give me factors of 24. 4 and 6.
But like obviously, like when I first met her, like we talked about our families, and we got to know about like, you know, how many siblings, like who's in our family and everything like that. And then because certain things are super personal, I don't want to feel like I'm prying and like, you know, asking too many questions with regards to what may be super personal. The things that I've learned about with her family and her situations at times because of the war is mostly initiated from whatever she brings up in our conversation, and then I follow that lead. I'm grateful that she shares about it, because you don't have to share about that, right? But I'm grateful that she does, because it helps me to understand like the struggles that people are facing on, you know, on that side, about what's really happening. I think both of us are having to learn from each other. So yes, I think it's been something more than what I had expected. I think it was like a refresher for me to just recognize that this is what's fun, is actually like I'm actually being able to teach without the pressure of like finals or grades or comments. Why I want to go into counseling is because I'm passionate about people and their problems, like knowing where it is that I can offer help.
In middle school, we had mandatory English classes, kind of boring, a lot of texts. The teacher would just transfer knowledge onto you, and you were expected to memorize it and learn it that way. I would secretly think, like, maybe I could make the classes better, the curriculum more effective.
Oh, I know this one.
A mind-blowing experience. It was like an awesome and shocking. My name is Serene Kim. I'm from Korea originally. I lived there for about 13 years. And I moved to Hawaii last year. I learned about the ENGin program when my friend told me about it. She said she was meeting a student from Ukraine. So I thought that was really interesting. I have volunteered with ENGin since last year, October. Our birthdays were like less than a week apart. It was more like meeting a new friend rather than a student. I learned that we have a lot of common interests too, like reading and writing stories. Because once she entered like a competition, poetry reading, then I think she did well. And then there was the Ukrainian translation of the poetry, and I read it too, and it was very difficult. Like we had to do a lot of interpreting and analyzing. She wants to know more vocabulary and phrases that would make her story more appealing. Based on that kind of feedback, I made a slide based on more descriptive vocabulary and adjectives. Like I show her a lot of music videos, like some YouTube documentaries. I really want to meet her in person.
Yeah, but that's not work. Okay, yeah.
Bringing the paper down.
That specific size, like
This
10.
one very well with the crease on the left side. And reinforce.
Yeah, okay, hold on. I will go take this one.
Okay.
Maybe we need this, so.
A previous session, we were folding origami together, and then she went to go get like a glue stick and scissors. It was kind of like we were in the same room. She disappeared for the screen for a moment, but it felt as if she were in like a different room searching for what she needed and then coming back. Having the knowledge that you have a connection somewhere else in the world.
You can have that influence beyond the classroom of what you teach.
It's ultimately just about building connections. The one statement, the way that ENGin puts it, and this mental image really stuck with me, is that every volunteer-student relationship in ENGin is another thread that connects Ukraine to the rest of the world.